Hello, I'm Cynthia Orms, your professor, and I'm going to narrate the information about developing your personal ethics code, specifically dealing with Step 1, Be Attentive. The purpose of the Personal Ethics Code is to help you become more aware of the values which are most important to you and to help you develop moral courage in the face of an ethical dilemma. In the last 2 weeks, you have learned about your preferences, your preferred ethical lenses, your strengths, tendencies, and temptations. Hopefully, by developing your own personal ethics code, you will be able to hone those ideas into a workable document. To begin with, we are going to take a look at some of the religious and secular influences on our own sense of ethics and morality. In Ethics for the Real World, Howard and Korver stated, "With an ethical code in hand, we prime ourselves for dealing with difficult and daily challenges. Without a code, we find it easier to overlook, sweep aside, put behind us, and let go of ethical mistakes." So basically what they're saying is it allows you to hone those ideas which are most important to you and those values and raise your level of ethical awareness on a daily basis so that when the dilemma or the ethical challenge comes across, you will be more able to deal with it. At the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado, they have a cadet honor code, which is similar, although more simplified, than a personal ethics code, and it states that we will not lie, steal, or cheat, nor tolerate among us anyone who does. As a former Air Force Academy cadet, I can tell you that both the cadets and the military administration at the Academy treated this very seriously. At West Point, the U.S. Army Military Academy, their cadet prayer states, "Make us to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong." Because oftentimes ethical challenges that face us, there is an easy answer, but it's not always the right answer. In the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it states that all human beings should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Consider what's going on in our country today and across the world, and think about whether we are acting not only as individuals, as citizens, but as a country towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. In Shakespeare's Hamlet from the 1600s, it states that give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. Take each man's censure, but reserve thy judgment. Neither a borrower or a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow, as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. All of us could probably adopt this as our own personal ethics code, but we'll leave this to Shakespeare's. An anonymous author stated, "Sow a thought, reap an act. Sow an act, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny." So hopefully through this class we will be helping you to sow your character that you have developed over many years, which will allow you to reap the destiny that you seek. At West Point, to help them deal with ethical challenges, the cadets have 3 rules of thumb in defining an ethical action. Does this action attempt to deceive anyone or allow anyone to be deceived? Does this action gain or allow the gain of privilege or advantage to which I or someone else would not otherwise be entitled? Would I be dissatisfied by the outcome if I were on the receiving end of this action? If a cadet can answer no to all 3 of these questions, the action passes muster as an ethical action. The Dalai Lama, in his acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989, stated, "For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I, too, abide to dispel the misery of the world." I think we could all live well by this quote. In Buddhism, there are 5 precepts. Specifically, I'm looking at, I take upon myself the precept of abstention from killing, stealing, and falsehood. Lao Tzu, the father of modern Taoism, stated, "At the center of your being, you have the answer, you know who you are, and you know what you want." Hopefully the Personal Ethics Code will help you to flesh out those ideas for yourself. In Islam, the Quran states, "Beware of Satan. He has lost all hope that he will be able to lead you astray in big things, so beware of following him in small things." And it's those small things that challenge us on a daily basis. And of course, we're all familiar with the 10 Commandments. Although I won't read them specifically, you can read them to yourself. Many of you probably know them well and know that they are a source from our Bible and can give us direction in developing our own personal ethics code. And of course, if humans should have an ethics code, it goes to say that robots should have an ethics code as well. In the movie and book I, Robot, there were 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or, through an action, allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey any orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Some of these ideas would work well for us as humans, not just as robots. As we go through this process, you will begin to refine your core ethical principles through reflection and looking at key exceptions. We do this by first examining a few key areas that have differing impacts on our lives: religious legacy, secular legacy, work legacy, and for you, also school legacy, and miscues of the rich and famous. By miscues, I talk about that many young people, much younger than yourself, look up to the rich and famous, whether it be a NASCAR driver, a sports figure, an actor, an actress, and oftentimes they do give us miscues through their own poor behavior. An example would be Lindsay Lohan in the last few years and how she has acted. So your first assignment is called Step 1, Be Attentive. Go to the Resources tab in Georgia View and find the document entitled Personal Ethics Code Step 1, Be Attentive. Complete the assignment addressing all issues. Upon completion, submit Step 1 in a Word-compatible document under the Assignments tab.